Greetings, sword friends! Here again. I wanted to give everyone a quick channel update. Now, don't worry, channel's not going away, but I do need to disclose that we have something going on that's probably going to change the content going forward, at least for the immediate future. Last couple of videos, I've mentioned that I've sustained a bit of an injury going on, and I'll explain it a little bit more in detail. We're all friends here. So I have a couple of lasting injuries that, have accumulated bumps and bruises along the way. Used to be a jiu-jitsu and judo player once upon a time, so I have a shoulder on my dominant side, on my right side, that has all sorts of bangs and bruises that I've been seeing therapy for. I am also not a spring chicken, and I have arthritis on both hands, but obviously on the good hand here, or on my sword hand here, that affects my ability to grip things. Can't put on the mechanical vise for my jiu-jitsu grips on anymore. But recently, I have also sustained an elbow injury, which is really affecting my ability to do supination and extension, which is just not good. So it's a combination of things. Obviously, I'm going to be working on it. We'll see what the docs and the therapists, etc., have to say. I may end up immobilized. I'm obviously going to be looking into getting it properly treated because I want to be able to continue to do what I like in addition to everything else in my normal life for a long time to come. What this means is two things. One, you may see me in something like a sling or even a cast in future videos. If so, do not worry. In fact, any of you watching this video can tell anyone in the future in the comments what's going on. You guys will be in the know. And in general, I probably will have to avoid doing some of my more aggressive testing. As of right now, I can still do my actual measurements and dynamics testings of swords. But obviously, I like to do cutting. I'm not a fencer, so that's not missing. But my ability to do proper cutting testing on swords, especially for hard targets, so for instance, the Lancelot Chen style targets, is going to be greatly reduced for the immediate future. And I don't know how long that's going to be. It's summertime right now. I'd love to be able to do I have all sorts of plans for warm weather, but knowing my luck, I probably won't be healed until it starts getting ready to snow again, right when I won't be able to do a lot of cutting. So in the interim, let's do something else instead. I pulled out a whole bunch of swords that I would love to be able to give formal reviews when let them all shine and do lots of great cutting feats. Some of these you have seen, some of these you haven't seen. These all belong to my good friend Sword of Damokles, and they're due to go back to him. Now, we may still have time to see each of these in depth, but given the state of my new condition, I wanted a chance to just really quickly let them all shine, even if it's just in this one video where we take a quick look over each of them in kind and just really say thank you to my good buddy Sword of Damokles for letting them come here and visit my sword daycare for a second. Now again, if you paid attention to any of the previous videos on the channel and perhaps some of my live streams where I do unboxings, you may have seen some of these swords before. And if you have questions about any of them, feel free to drop them in the comments and we can discuss them. But let's just go down the line and see what my good friend, who has wonderful taste in swords, has been kind enough to send my way. So over here, we have a katzbalger by Lutel. We have 4 Albions, and then we have a custom sword that is going to be very difficult to describe. So starting off with the sword from Lutel, this is a katzbalger, and this is a very special katzbalger because it is wavy. So this is the Flamberge style katzbalger that has featured in a couple of very popular videos. So katzbalger come in a couple different sizes. So folks often think of them as being even shorter than this, and there are many short versions, but some are the size of arming swords. So this one is a little less than 70 centimeters in length. I think it was like 68 centimeters long. And it's got a lot of mass here in the hips. This is a solid steel blued pommel that the whole assembly does actually come apart. It's got a brass screw here at the end that can be unscrewed, and then the entire hilt comes off. I'll have to do that to transport it eventually, but it's got a lot of presence in the chop and a really sharp blade, and it performs really well in cutting standard backyard targets and we have several special dedicated videos just dedicated to how this wavy blade performs against a variety of other targets. It's really neat. The scabbard that comes with it is not a true scabbard. It's more what we would normally call a sheath because it is flexy. This is just leather. It's well done. It's well executed. To be honest, this is to some degree indicates there's indication that this may have been what was used for some of the Landsknecht in the 16th century. There's may even be indications that swords were just put through a frog with their blade exposed. I guess it depends on how risky or how much money they wanted to spend on dressing up their swords. There are accounts of guys who might have injured their companions behind them. We see artwork of scabbards that have the end all cut open and frayed with the blade sticking out of the end. So this may not be as unhistorical as you might think, not having a wood core on the middle like most scabbards. On the whole, this is a really, really awesome sword. Very rare. Not many makers are doing wavy bladed swords, and certainly not in this size and this style. So a really cool sword. Next up, we have the Albion mercenary. I consider this one of the most archetypal hand and a half swords from this period, and going into like the late 14th, or I should say probably into the 15th century. This is a type 15A blade. It has a bit of a reinforced tip, which a lot of makers who haven't done their research that want to do these nice kind of triangular shaped blades don't do. And that's the thing. Once you get to these Oakshott Group 2 swords, most of them will have very strong cross sections to allow them to be very good in the thrust. It's not just about being able to stab, because any of these points, even the ones that are very, very thin, will have the ability to stab very well. It's the fact that they're going up against opponents that are heavily armored, and you don't want the tip of your sword being damaged while you're doing the stabbing. You don't necessarily need it to be reinforced in order to do the stabbing. You can stab with a thin tip, but if you clonk into a cuirass, if you clonk into a helmet or a shield or what have you, if you're banging into these heavy things all the time, very quickly a thinner tip is going to get rolled over, and then your tip is useless. So you need that to be reinforced. There are some of these swords that have almost like a square section at the very end of their tip. And of course, swords that have that all the way down that are called estocks. So this is a very maneuverable little sword. It still has a lot of cutting ability, as we saw in the recent experiment where we were cutting even just with the foible of the sword. It's very comfortable in the hand. I briefly had the Castellan, which shares the same blade type but has a shorter hilt. Between the two, I think that this is more comfortable to use as a sword than the Castellan, but it's a little bit bigger, and if I were carrying it on the hip, I think I'd probably bang into the grip on this one more often. So if I had to wear one, I'd probably wear the Castellan, but if I had to fence with one, I'd probably choose the mercenary. This scent stopper is just really fun in the hand, and I love the color of this blue that Albion has. So a nice sharp sword, very wide, but very, very flat, makes for great cutting ability and great thrusting ability. Next up, we have the Albion Crecy, and this is one that I was waiting for a while. When I got this one, the combination between the cross section and the type of edge that was on it, I did not expect it to cut particularly well, and I was completely wrong. So even with my experience with all the different types of swords I had and my understanding of dynamics, etc., I had a very poor prediction as to what this was going to be able to do against typical backyard targets. It's no surprise to me that this used to be a favorite of the cutting competition world before things like the Alexandria took over. So it's reasonably short gripped as far as long swords go, which is historical. So this is not a super long grip on it. Guys will probably want to start incorporating the pommel if they're trying to get a lot of leverage on it. It's still light enough that it can be used in one hand, but there's a lot of presence out here in the blade. Between the two of them, this feels more like a compromise between an arming sword and a long sword, so more like a bastard sword. This is leaving the distinction, that ambiguity at the door. This is a true long sword at this point. even though the grip on it is pretty short for a longsword. The kind of blackening on the cross and the pommel is pretty well done as far as Albion's concerned. There's a little bit of irregularities around the grip wrap. I'm not sure if that's after production or not, since these are all secondhand. So I'm a little hesitant to go over these with fine-tooth combs, just because since they're not coming straight from the manufacturer, it's hard for me to know if all of those little nuances are what you'd expect from a fresh sword if you ordered it right from Albion's door. But on the whole, it looks gorgeous. It handles beautifully. It's still very stiff and has a lot of reinforcement if you need to use this as a thrusting sword, but it has tremendous ability to cut. So this is standing right at the nexus between the earlier cutting type swords and the later period thrusting type swords in the type 16A longsword blade. Next up, we have a type 18 blade. So this is a type 18B longsword, or I'm sorry, a type 18A. Well, I'll flash it up on the screen. So this is really one that is a composite of several different sword people came together to make this work. It started off as a Hanwei Michael Tinker Pierce bastard sword. From that template, we had customization done by Matthew Cross. He sharpened the blade. This is why I was using it in the previous test to go up against a cutting target, especially even against a katana. He put a new grip wrap on it, which is beautiful. And then added to it were parts that Matthew Cross had that were produced by Jesse Belsky at Printed Armory. So these are custom pieces of furniture that can be removed by an Allen wrench and added. So it originally had a straight cross, and now we have a complex guard like you would see at the mid to later parts of the...
And the remainder of that file became corrupted, unfortunately. So we'll continue to talk about that bastard sword, which was really quite beautiful. The sharpness is great. It handles really close to the guard. It's very maneuverable, and the change between having the simple cross and the complex cross makes it really fast in the hand. This is one of the ones that I'd probably want to have if I were going to be dueling in an unarmored context. It's a lot of fun. I don't know how comfortable it would be to have on the hip all the time. It's always a little bit of a balance between having a lot of hand protection and having something comfortable to wear on the hip. But it's really beautiful, and if you have the chance to ever take advantage of the work done by Printed Armory and Jesse Belsky, I recommend taking advantage of that. So definitely get the chance to do it. Next up, we have the Vassal by Albion. Unsurprisingly, I love this sword. I love falchions. I'm very finicky about them, and the offering from Albion is absolutely beautiful. The 5 ribs there, the risers that we have on the grip are lovely and feel great in the hand. The blade itself is really maneuverable with the 2 fullers, the Elmsley Type 3, very extended gracile clip at the end. The trefoil punches through the upswept guard. The way that the pommel has this shape and kind of faceting on the design, everything together, it just makes for a very convenient package that looks great and it handles really wonderfully. You can see the distal taper in here, so compared to the other falchions, this one really performs quite nicely. And last up we have the Chevalier, and again, this is the first time we've featured Andy's work on the channel. Just by itself, the scabbard is gorgeous, but matched with this sword in particular, it is really a sight to behold. Andy did a good job of matching the color of the scabbard to the color of the grip wrap. The belt is wonderful, the way it's integrated with the scabbard leather, the fleur-de-lis, the embossing on it, the gold paint. Just the ability for him to do the stitching and have the seams of the leather put so neatly together on the back. I really wish I could make my scabbards look like that. His work is awesome. If you ever get the chance to look at Andy's work firsthand, I really recommend that you do. And the Chevalier itself is, of course, a gorgeous sword. It's the blinged out version of the Albion Oakshot. It looks like it's jumping right off of a manuscript. So thank you all for taking the time to look at these swords. Hopefully we'll get to swing swords in the future, but until then, let's appreciate the swords that we have. Thanks, guys.